How about Halo Infinite? Their director has stepped back.
Oh my God,
He's
bad
still at the
news after
company.
bad
He's still
news
working
after
for
bad.
Microsoft. It seems like he wasn't fired. They just said they want to go because they had the two veterans that just came in, and one of them is working on the single player, and one of them's taking over the multiplayer. So, I mean, Chris Lee wasn't needed there anymore. He poorly handled everything. Now you got two of the original guys working on it. Pierre Hintze on multiplayer, and then Joe Staten on single player. And I mean, hopefully, between the two
Well,
of
I'm glad
them,
he's back.
I mean, Microsoft obviously wants to get it out in 2021. I would imagine a fall 2020 release is what they're aiming for. So hopefully, in the year that they have, they could really make this game a lot better. But I don't know if, dude, I don't know if they could do it in 2021. Like, I think the game needs a lot of work because I think they're going to completely overhaul the complete art style and everything of the graphics. I think this game's going to look completely different than what we saw, and I don't know if they could do that in a year.
I have a controversial opinion,
What's your controversial opinion?
and I'm gonna preface this by saying I am a massive Halo fan. I've beaten almost all of them on Legendary with my buddy in co-op. These are games I've been playing for a very long time. When I got my 360 for Christmas as a kid, the first game I got with it, the first M-rated game I ever owned, was Halo Reach. I love these games, and in particular, Reach is my favorite FPS of all time, tied with COD 4. And I'm saying all this to show how much I love Halo, and I say this with a heavy heart, that they should cancel Halo Infinite. I think they
Really?
should drop. I think they should drop it. I think they should scrap it, and I think they should start over. This has been one of the most turbulent development cycles I've ever seen for such a huge title like this. Um, and I don't see it with any other Microsoft studio. Forza's on their stuff. Gears is grinding away at what they need to do. Halo's the one that has been consistently dropping the ball ever since Halo 4. Because look, I don't think Halo 4 is a bad game, but I think it was a mediocre game, and I think Halo 5 was indeed a very bad game. Um, and with Infinite, from what I've seen, from the gameplay we've all seen, come on, it looked abysmal. It did, in terms of performance-wise, at least. Gameplay, that's up to the person, the individual, but you can't deny the performance was terrible.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about 343. Every game that they've worked on by themselves has been terrible. The games that they've worked on with like other people, like for like Halo Wars 2, I know some people like that, some people didn't, but they worked on that game with Creative Assembly.
And
Um, some of the older games, like they obviously worked on with different studios, and they were just a support studio. They're good as a support studio, but once they're by themselves working on it, the games come out like shit. As you can see from all the other games, like the MCC, that had a lot of issues.
4 years of glitches. It's
Exactly,
finally
it
fixed
shouldn't.
now.
And finally rolling out on PC. I mean, there's just
Yeah,
way
there's
too many. I don't even know if they're working on the PC version.
barely. They
No,
have a
I know.
lot
I
of
mean, I
issues
think
that
some other
Well, they have a
Halo,
lot of issues that they refuse to patch
MCC,
because they're like,
PC.
oh, we would have to go into the legacy code and fix everything in there, and we don't really. Their answer was really, we don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I mean, they've worked with like Saber in the past. They obviously worked with Bungie in the past. They've worked with a lot of different people in the past, and whenever they're by themselves, the games come out bad. So I
I
think
don't
it's
think
time
they
to
should
just.
can't.
I'm,
I think
no,
it's
I'm not
time
saying
to.
cancel it, but I'm saying like, obviously there was rumors about Bungie. Maybe they acquire Bungie, maybe they don't. But if they don't acquire Bungie, look at Bethesda. Look how many studios they have working on first-person shooters that do good, like
It's
ID.
software.
Could you?
It's software should do it.
Could you imagine? Or even
I could.
Machine Games. Even Machine Games would do.
I
Because both
think
of them make good first-person shooters. I mean, Machine Games is obviously a different kind of first-person shooter. Actual guns, where Doom is more different and would work better with like monsters and stuff, and would
yeah, but here's the
probably
thing. The Doom is an arena shooter. That's what Halo is too. At
yeah.
least that's what it was before 343 changed everything and made it into sci-fi Call of Duty. You still have Doom 2016. I don't like that game personally, but what I will say is that I played the multiplayer a lot, way more than the single player, because the multiplayer was still that arena shooter, fast-paced, completely skill-based game. And that's what Halo was, and that's why it's so important to not have things like sprint, to not have things that completely change the game up. And id Software, after over 20 years, still gets it. 343 never has, or never even attempted to. Rather, they just were like, okay, we had this It's like with Disney with Star Wars. We have this IP. It's monumental. It has been widely and massively successful. Let's put our own spin on it because we know better than the original creators. That's not
Yeah,
how it works. You don't know
I
better.
agree.
The reason it succeeded was because of the original creators' vision, and you don't have that passion. This was just handed to you because it makes a lot of money. So your goal was just to make a lot of money with the next installment, not deliver something that the fans love. And 343, I've said it time and time again, and I will never stop until they're relinquished of their rights to Halo. They don't get it. They don't understand Halo. They have never understood Halo, and people will defend them. And I understand. You want to defend Halo because of the nostalgia, because of the childhood memories. But I'm telling you guys, this is not Halo anymore. This
Yeah.
is sci-fi Call of Duty. This isn't what we grew up with. This isn't what we love. This isn't Halo
Well,
anymore.
here's the thing.
And I don't want anyone to lose their jobs. This is
Yeah,
something I need. I don't want anyone to
but they
lose their
should just be a
jobs.
support studio. They should be made
I
as a
don't.
support studio. They shouldn't be the
Yeah.
lead.
I.
Id Software, for example, we know they have at least two teams because a decent amount of people. I know Rage 2 was made with Avalanche Studios, but id
Yeah.
Software had a decent amount of people working on that game.
That's why
So
the shooting was so good.
maybe you
It's the
have
only
id
good part about it.
Software. You know, they hire a decent amount of other people. They obviously still work on Doom, but maybe instead of a
Course.
3-year cycle on Doom, it's a 4-year cycle now. And you put more people on the second team, and you have them become the main studio for Halo, and then you use 343 as a support studio to help them. Use the id engine, because that engine is incredible. The
Oh
fact
yeah,
that on PC, you could play that at like 4K, over 120 FPS, and it's like,
runs flawlessly.
it does, and it looks good too. It looks a lot better than what. Doom 2016 looks a lot better than what we
Than
saw.
Halo Infinite. It does. It
Exactly.
looks graphically superior. I don't even like 2016, and I do want to, before I get slaughtered by the Doom fans out there, I love to rip and tear an Eternal. Eternal's a completely different story. I think Eternal is damn near a masterpiece, if not a masterpiece. It's probably my second favorite Doom game besides the original. So I love the direction they're taking. So a 4-year development cycle, like you said, would be incredible because look how much of an improvement and innovation there was from Doom 2016 to Eternal. New weapons, new mechanics, way better story than 2016 had. I still haven't beaten it. I really want to, but Eternal is a massive step up. So with another year of development time, think of how much of an improvement we'll see from Eternal to whatever the next Doom game will be. Um, I just I really feel like that would be good for Halo to have it work on it because one, you have people that love the job that they do. I keep seeing stories every week of some turbulence going on in 343, some just conflict within there. I don't feel like it's a healthy work environment. Now, I'm not there. I could be wrong, but from
I
what
agree,
I
though.
see,
I mean,
it looks, very turbulent and unstable. And I feel like the employees don't have good job security. And I also heard that most of the people working on Halo Infinite were contractors. And that's terrible because
yeah.
Halo's too important of a franchise to not have people who care about it on the development team. Id has shown time and time again that they love what they work on. And I feel like if Phil Spencer or somebody high up came to them and pitched, like, hey guys, we know Doom's your thing, but how would you feel about sci-fi? How would you feel about branching off? Still work on Doom, still do everything that you guys love. If we wanted you to do Halo, could you do it? I guarantee you the answer could be yes, because immediately my mind starts going around possibilities of the Flood and how that could really, translate from
Can
the
you
games of
imagine a
Doom
Flood
to a
horror game?
Flood. That would
How,
be
how good
incredible.
that would be?
And it would be the right people to do it, man. Or if they were to do, something more apocalyptic. Because I always thought, what if we had a prequel to Reach about Harvest? Because that was the colony planet that the Covenant first attacked, and that's how the war with the UNSC started. What if they did just like an apocalyptic FPS of like a Spartan or a Marine even trying to survive on Harvest in the vein of Doom Eternal or something? Not as fast paced, not as like rip and tear, but with that apocalyptic theme. I feel like they could be really good at something like that,
You
and I
see,
think
like, I don't
Halo
understand why
Halo.
Microsoft isn't wanting more spin-offs for Gears and Halo. Like, Gears Tactics sold really well. I don't know how Halo Wars did, but I feel like they should make more games because we know Halo Infinite, at least the plan was that they were going to support that game for the entire generation.
For 10 years.
They were going to support it for 10 years with
Ridiculous.
like other single-player expansions, quote unquote, however you want to say it. Pretty much making a game as a service, and I think spin-offs, even for Gears of War. I mean, we know that there's one more Gears of War game coming, and that's going to end that like second trilogy that they did.
It's gonna end the saga, yeah.
And I feel like after that, they should just let those characters be and then just do spin-offs. I mean, could you imagine a first-person Gears game made by Machine Games? Like, id should be working on Halo
Yeah,
spin-offs.
I
Machine
can't
Games should
imagine
be
that.
working on Gears of War spin-off. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, because a spin-off would be a great trial run for these studios. Like, hey, we want you to do a spin-off. If it sells well, maybe we see about
Because
making
that's
a
the problem
developer.
with Machine Games. I mean, the Wolfenstein games haven't sold great. I mean, because
Well, New Order did fairly well, right?
I
I
think it
love
did better than they wanted it to, but it didn't do like any crazy numbers. And then obviously
because
Youngblood was a mess, but
well,
Youngblood's a special case.
New Order, Old Blood, and New Colossus I view as a fantastic trilogy. I really do. I love all three of those games with all my heart, and I really don't understand the hate behind New Colossus. I thought, because there's a lot of people that disliked that game, I thought in terms of gameplay at least, it improved on New Order every single way.
Yeah, it did.
And
Wolfenstein 2 did not sell good at all.
that's that's tragic because they really tried a lot of different things to it too.
And I
And
enjoyed
I
2 a
liked it.
lot.
I thought the story was great. I really did. Um, But Youngblood, oh my god, I never even finished it. I killed like the first
I haven't
like
played it.
fourth command. I got like a third through it.
I mean, it's
And
on Game Pass, so I want to play it eventually. I've had it installed for a while now. I've just haven't
I
touched
have a
it.
physical copy of it, and I kind of want to burn it. I'm not
I
gonna
feel
lie
like that game would be better as a playing it co-op rather than
I
attempting
did
it.
play
You
co-op.
see, when I play it, I'll probably end up playing a single player than co-op, and I'll probably enjoy it a lot less than if I did it co-op. But I don't know. We're not going to go into Youngblood, but it was
Abysmal, terrible.
yes, it shouldn't have
In
happened.
every way. The gameplay was super arcadey, and the narrative was bottom feeding garbage. So, and the main protagonists were some of the most annoying.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
They
I'm just
didn't
gonna leave it at that.
even act like they were sisters. Like,
It's just did they have to be that obnoxious? Did
no, they didn't, but they were.
Oh man, I just.
And then even like Doom, like I know Doom sold pretty well, but I think it sold.
Sounds like hotcakes. Especially Eternal. Eternal was very successful.
Yeah, Eternal was 3 times. I think it was like 3 times what 2016 did for launch.
I'm not surprised. It's a much better game. It's definitely over 3 times as better than the 2016
Yeah,
game.
it sold 3 million digital copies at launch, and 2016 sold under 1 million at launch.
Yeah, I mean, I have the collector's edition for Eternal. They did a really good job with that too, with the helmet and the 6 steel book and the lore book they give with you. They really put a lot of passion into their games, and you can tell.
But
And
something that didn't sell well was Rage 2.
Rage 2. Well, Rage 2 is not a good game.
Yeah.
I beat Rage 2.
So I mean, there's no reason for id to be like, oh, let's make a Rage 3. So id needs to get put on something, unless they're just gonna really focus on Doom, which I don't think they should. Because if they start pumping out Doom games every 2 years,
it's gonna lose its magic. It's not gonna be as good. I don't know. I really feel like if they bring the passion they brought to Doom to Halo, it would be a masterpiece again. And because we haven't had a good Halo game since Reach, and well, Combat Evolved Anniversary and Master Chief Collection are good now, but they don't count because the original framework for all those games was there. You just had to make them look nice, and that even for them was hard to do apparently. So I do feel like 343 should be relegated to a support
like even if
studio.
like an ODST kind of spin-off would be really cool.
Yeah, and look,
like
I
another
believe
game
in
like
second
that.
chances, but this is like their 4th chance. It's done. I really feel like they should cut their losses with Infinite or release what they have and take the heat. One of the two. I think it should just be a cancellation and then they should start over. I can wait for more Halo. I can't because I still have the Bungie originals that are fantastic and I replay at least once a year. I really feel like that they need to seriously reevaluate their priorities with Halo. And I don't think that they're treating it with the respect the IP deserves. I really don't. You remember like just the Halo 3 launch in 2007, how everyone went crazy, and how it was literally just Halo mania. It was absolutely insane, but it had every right to be that way because it was the end of the trilogy and everybody was waiting for it, and it was fantastic, and everyone's hopes were paid off. You don't have that hype anymore with Halo. You don't have that fan love. You just alienated the people who like Halo. Now, I'm sure for younger people out there, they like the new Halo, but I'm sorry, I don't care what you like. Halo was my generation. We grew up with this stuff. We expect a certain quality of work. And just because
Well,
you feel like you can pawn this off on the newer generation because they expect a more casual type game, it's not going to happen for
you
the
see, well,
people
I
who
feel
show
it's
up
the
and
same
wait for
way.
it.
I feel like it's the same way with like even Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Like the newer generation came in and like, oh, these games are really good. Like, from Ghost to from Ghost, and like
I like
three other
Ghost.
games like Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4. All those games were steps down to what like Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 2 were. And now Modern Warfare and it looks like Cold War are both steps up to what came
Eh,
out recently, in my opinion. I mean, I grew up
campaign
on
wise,
COD.
I
I
don't
didn't
think
grow up on
so.
Halo. I just played the Halo games recently. I just played the Gears games pretty recently. I mean, COD was my game growing up on Wii, and then I went to Xbox 360 and played it there. So, I mean, I didn't enjoy the recent CODs, and I mean, Modern Warfare I enjoyed a lot more than all of them, but even that game had its issues.
Well, I grew up with COD as well, and I always played COD for the campaign more so than anything. That's
Yeah,
my main, factor for playing Call of Duty, and that's why I really like Ghost because I thought Ghost had a solid campaign. Advanced Warfare, I did not like the gameplay at the time. I did because I was younger, but looking back on it with hindsight, I think it was a really bad turn for the series. I thought the story again was okay and very well acted at the very least, but that was because of Troy Baker mainly and the supporting cast. Regardless, it was significantly steps down. Black Ops 3 campaign was terrible because it used the one writing trope that they teach you day one in English 151. You never use, never, you never have it was all just a dream as your ending. You don't, because it makes the audience feel like they wasted their entire time with a story that doesn't matter because it never happens. Black Ops 3 did that. Why? Why in 2015 you're still using it was all a dream? That was terrible. And
yeah,
then Infinite Warfare, the multiplayer and zombies were god awful. But the campaign was actually really good, narrative
yeah.
wise. In terms of a story, you had ex Naughty Dog writers come on and they made that work. I just replayed Infinite Warfare on Veteran, really early this year. And I loved it doing all the side missions. I really thought it was an incredible story, and I love Infinite Warfare for that. But again, multiplayer zombies terrible. And then you have World War II, which is literally just a more casual rehash of Saving Private Ryan, and it's
Yeah, it
very
was. I mean,
cinematic.
but I enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah, no, I replayed it on Veteran. I thought it was a good challenge, and I enjoyed it, especially characters like Sergeant Pearson and Lieutenant Turner. I really liked in World War II. But
yeah,
again, it was very just cinematic, very unrealistic. And then Black Ops 4 came out. No story at all. Just these operator missions,
that
and
was
it was
terrible.
terrible. I played like for the first week of Black Ops 4. It's multiplayer. First 2 weeks maybe with a squad of friends. We enjoyed it for what it was. But again, it was just like this is a waste of time
Yeah,
because there's nothing substantial here. And then Modern Warfare,
great story.
I I thought there were a lot of plot holes in Modern Warfare's story. There are a
I
few
agree.
things that do not make sense, and there are
Yeah,
a few things that are completely forced. But in terms of what we had, it's still nowhere near the quality of their last campaign release,
but it
Infinite
was a
Warfare.
step up in the right direction, and that's
I
why I'm
think it.
excited for Cold War, because they've hired a lot of good story people for it, working on like the narrative. It's gonna have choice and consequence according to them, which I'm curious to what degree and
Yeah,
how
we'll
much.
see.
Because even like Black Ops, I think it was 2, where you had to decide if you're gonna shoot the guy
Well,
or go.
Black Ops 2 had multiple endings and a lot of different
Yeah, I mean,
variations.
so a lot of the Black Ops games have always had good stories. So I
Only
am
one and
excited for
two.
Cold War. I'm curious to what they'll do with it, but
Well, World at War, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 2 were all bangers, to be blunt. They were just all had incredible campaigns. After that, Treyarch failed to make a single good story. When it comes to the Infinity Ward side of things, I do believe Modern Warfare, the new one, to be their worst campaign to date. But that's just because every other one was just
so good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Comes to Cold War, I'm a little bit nervous because of the new voice actors. I really don't like how they replaced Sam Worthington and
Yeah, I agree.
I forget his last name, but I'm sorry, James C. Burns. He played Sergeant Woods, and Hudson has been changed every game, but Hudson in Black Ops 1 I think is still the best. I really don't like how they replaced the voice actors, and they didn't even approach James C. Burns. I watch his podcast
Yeah, I
sometimes
heard about that.
called Sarge's Corner. I think everyone should check it out and support him because he's a really down to earth and genuine dude. But yeah, he feels very, blindsided by this. He had no idea. He feels betrayed, and he has every right to. And I feel with him for that. And I feel like the story isn't gonna have the charm. Like seeing Woods voiced with another guy, it's so weird. We grew up with these games. It was always James.
I mean, same with Captain Price. I mean, Captain Price's voice felt weird.
I thought it worked a little bit. I thought it worked for the game. Barry Sloan did a good job as the new Captain Price because it's a different world than the old Modern Warfare.
This is a direct sequel, which is why it's weird.
This is a direct sequel to Black Ops 1, yet it's not the same characters. Like I think it might have started out as a reboot, and then they just switched to a sequel midway through. And I'm just sorry. I'm sorry. How can this be a direct sequel with a completely different cast? Voice actors are treated like garbage in America. Like they're treated like royalty in Japan with other actors, but here we just cast them aside, and I don't understand why. Because James T. Burns' performance as Woods was electric. That whole "you can't kill me" scene in the Russian roulette game. We will not get moments like that anymore because he stayed with this character for over, almost a decade, and now they're treating him like garbage, and I don't like that. So for those reasons, I'm nervous about Cold War story, but I still think it'll be good. I do think it'll be good, regardless. And what we were originally talking about was Halo. Halo. At least COD is making somewhat of a comeback. Halo is faltering, and it's faltering badly, very badly. I just, like I said, I don't want anyone to lose your jobs, but like you said, make them a support studio. Give Halo to someone like id. Maybe start off with a spin-off to test their ability, and if they do well, give them the green light for the whole series. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, Microsoft, if Halo fails here, then Gears is towards the end, and they're probably just going to spin-offs after this. Then I can see them really making Elder Scrolls like their main studio, like their main game, the face of the brand. And being like, Elder Scrolls, the face of Microsoft. I mean, I don't know.
And Fallout and Evil Within, they could prop up too, make that a really good horror exclusive.
They could make that a really good horror game, but
because I loved Evil.
But those games sold terrible. At least the second one did. I don't know about the first one, but the second one I know sold terrible.
The first one sold all right, but it was very difficult and it alienated a lot of people. The second one I thought was better in every single way, but because of that stigma the first one had, it didn't sell as well.
Yeah, I haven't played either of the games.
I recommend you do. At least the second one. You don't need to play the first one to understand the second one. It's a completely different plot. There's obviously references of the first one in there for original players, but you don't need to know it all. I played the second one before I played the first one. Regardless, I do think, I'll predict here and now, Elder Scrolls 6 will be a console exclusive for Xbox. That game will not come to PS5. They can afford that, and I think they'll make that move. Maybe it'll come years down the line, but I'll tell you this: at launch, it'll be on PC for sure. Microsoft isn't stupid; it will be on PC.
I think they're still going to support the modding community. They're not going to abandon the modding.
Will. Oh no, they won't.
Bethesda's, because that's the only reason. Not the only reason, but Skyrim is still played because of how good the modding is. And mods came to Xbox; they weren't as good on Xbox as PC. Obviously, it's harder to do that. But I would imagine that they're still going to try to get maybe they do something like mods are exclusive on Xbox, and they give it like a timed exclusive for 1 year, that game, and then after the 1 year it comes to PlayStation, but they don't get access to mods or something like that.
They could do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Microsoft's not stupid. They aren't going to alienate the modding community because they know that's a huge part of the player base, and they want to probably support that, and they'll probably give them a bigger platform, if anything. They'll probably try to normalize modding on consoles with this new generation, and I hope that
would be a smart thing to do.
It would be.
Mods are one of the reasons I went to PC. That's my main platform.
I guarantee you they're gonna ditch the Creation Club too, because
they absolutely will.
They don't need that money anymore. It's scummy. I'm sorry. It's great for creators who want to get paid for their work, but the fact that Bethesda takes a cut of it shows you where the true intentions of that service lie. And they'll get rid of that. But yeah, no, Elder Scrolls 6 will not be coming to PS5. I'm sorry, PlayStation gamers. I apologize. Look, I feel for you. But it's probably not going to happen. They spent $7.5 billion. What do you expect?
Yeah.